This crisis has been ongoing for a number of years. It started in 2012, and it's going to take some time to solve it. I will say, when the Finance Minister rose today, he did talk about some of the concrete steps that members of our government took while in opposition. Himself making sure that there was a patch program to protect those who were being sold fentanyl. A former colleague of ours brought forward legislation to try and ban the pill press. This is something that's very important to us, and myself brought forward legislation in terms of bringing more government advertising into the opioid crisis. In addition, I was the one who initiated calls for a task force that eventually, after 9 months of calling, the former Liberal administration brought forward. So this is a very serious issue, one that will require due diligence by the health minister, and she is committed to doing that.
So, Minister, can you
just to follow up to my question, but why the delay? The minister told me personally she would have all the information to the Premier in time for him to make his decision by September 30th, so why the delay?
So she's indicated that will take an extra month to get this right, and our heart is with the people that are struggling with this abuse. I know many people that are struggling with this opioid challenge, not only just young people that are, but their parents trying to figure that out. So we're going to continue to consult on the front line, and we'll make sure that we talk to the experts as well. But this is a very serious crisis. It's one that many of us have been engaged in for many years, and we want to make sure that we get it right.
On a day when there's 1,265 crosses on the front lawn of the legislature, where there are advocates, priests, people that are using as well, saying that there's blood on this government's hands. Why is the health minister,
fair.
but that's what they're saying, why is the health minister dodging questions on this?
The health minister was called away. I'm here right now as the Community and Social Services Minister, and somebody who's been on the front line of this crisis. For those of you who've been at Queen's Park for some time, you know that there wasn't a day that went by from 2016 until now that this hasn't been top of mind for me. I've met with youth that have been struggling with this since they were 10 or 11 years old, so it's a crisis. We do have a task force. The Premier has asked the Minister of Health to review this, and she's going to take some more time.
Have you launched any advertising yet?
That's a good question. It's not my ministry, so I'll look into that.
So what do you say to the folks that say there's blood on the government's hands and that the expert opinions are in and the government is doing nothing?
Well, we've been in government for 3 months. The previous Liberal administration was in government for 15 years. They delayed and they dilly-dallied. We have a Minister of Health who is committed to making sure that she makes evidence-based decisions that are in the best interest of Ontarians, and she's continuing to do that, and we're going to continue to support her. And we've also said that we are going to invest about $3.8 billion into mental health and addictions and supportive housing, and we're doing that work right now. But I do ask that you be patient, because these are people's lives, and we are very cognizant of the struggles that everyday Ontarians.
And if evidence shows that safe injection sites really do help the problem, would you commit then to keeping those up and running?
That'll be a decision made by the Minister of Health. I'm the Minister of Children and Community and Social Services with responsibilities for women, immigration and veterans, so that wouldn't be my call. I'll let the Health Minister speak to that.
Can you give us a better idea of some of the excess?
I'll have to let the Health Minister respond on her consultation process. That said, there are people on multiple sides of this issue, so she's taking an extra month in order to consult with everyone that she's working with, and there will be a decision forthcoming. But I just want to reiterate that many members of this caucus and this government have a long record in fighting this opioid crisis, whether that's Vic Fideli and his Patch for Patch program, myself with government advertising and calling for the task force, or other members who have stood in this assembly for a great deal of time. So we're going to lead with our hearts on this one, and we're going to make sure that we do our due diligence, and I'll have the Health Minister say more about it in the days, weeks ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you.